Okay, we're here today. Deanne's going to show us how to make a bow. She's making a bow with some of our rose gold ribbon that's been popular this year. You can find all of our ribbon at christmastreewreaths.com. Okay, Deanne. That ribbon is called Sophia.
Yes. The bow we're going to be making is made out of this ribbon. And just so you can tell what we're doing here, we're going to be making a bow that looks like this. See? And you put this up somewhere so you can see it, so you know what it's going to look like. That's what it's going to look like. Okay? And then take your ribbon out. And as you're going along and making your bow, lots of times it gets kind of kinked up, like get around itself, and then while you're making it, it kind of, like that. Anyway, if you're making it in your left hand and you put your roll of ribbon to where it's coming out clockwise, it'll, as you're making it, it'll automatically start unkinking itself, because the direction you're going with the bow is going the same as it's coming out, So it'll keep it straighter than it was if you were going the other way. Or, you could just fling it, toss it around the room or whatever. Either one works. And, okay. Now when you start out, you want to start out, for this size ribbon, you're with your top tail being just about 4 inches or so long, Just like that. Okay? And then you want to crinkle it. And, with crinkling, there's really no science to it. You just kind of wad it up in your hand, make it smaller. And try and keep it this way. So when you crinkle it up, it's kind of a fan going that way. Anyway, okay. And now you're going to do your center loop. Which, as you're going along, you're going to have your center loop in the center. Kind of like this. Here. And then everything is going to come out from side to side as you're making it. So you want your loop to be the center and everything coming back and forth this way as you're going along. And it kind of helps to remember that, so everything's going in the same direction. So, okay. And so from here, you turn this piece of ribbon here completely backward. Twist it around to where it's completely backward. And it helps if you twist it this way instead of twisting it around the other way, because your ribbon will be behind your hand if you do it that way. So this way. Okay? So where the ribbon's completely on the other side, on the side. And then you take this ribbon and you go around, it's kind of naturally looping this way anyway. And you take it and you go out that way with it. So you have a center that's this way.
Lots of people.
Like that. Yeah, lots of people mess up and they'll do like this, which this isn't right. It won't work out like that, yeah. It has to go like this. Yeah. And the size of this just kind of depends on the size you want your bow. So, in general, it's going to be, like, I don't know, about 4 times the size or so for the whole thing. So just, you have to keep making them and playing around with it until you get it to just about the right size. Or you can take your previous ones that you've done, because it's going to take a lot to you're going to have to make them a lot to finally get them looking really good. So you can take your previous ones and kind of compare them so you get the right size. Because when you're first making it, when it's in your hand and you're making it, it looks a lot different than it does when you're done. So the sizes are going to look totally out of whack. Okay. And then you're going to do your first loop. And your first loop is going to go from the bottom, and you're going to loop around to the top. So the bottom comes out flat here, and then it's going to loop around to the front like this. Okay. And you want your loop to be roughly twice the size of your center, and that'll kind of make it look proportioned, right? And you want to crinkle this in between your loop right here and the end coming out. So it's like that. Okay. And then crinkle it. Yeah, and it helps as you're going along to fluff out the bottom here. And if you keep fluffing out the bottom here on all of them, they'll kind of naturally come forward. And if you don't, and you just leave it straight or whatever, it'll look flat. Okay. And then we're going to do the next loop here. And these loops, the loops that are further away from you are going to go from the bottom to the top. And these loops are going to go from the top to the bottom. So the ribbon's going around the same angle. Okay. Like that. And this part here is really important. You want to make sure that your two loops on either side are really, really, really close to the same size. Because if they're not the same size, the whole thing is going to be, you know, out of balance to one side or the other. Yeah. So, and if you get it right here, then as you're going along, as you're going down, you don't have to readjust. It's just all going to look like that. Yeah, see? And it also helps if you look at it from this angle, from the side, instead of from the top. Because, you know, if you have one side more flat or whatever, it's going to look longer than it actually is. So, if you look at it this way, you can see the general size a lot better. Okay, and then you just crinkle this one on the bottom. When you're doing this side, everything just crinkles on the bottom. So, okay, and then this side, you're going to fluff the bottom too. Like that. And then you want to keep, as you're going along, make sure your center's in the center, and these are, I'm going to work these up as you're going along. Because these are going to end up on the top here. Once you get your others done. Okay. And go down like that. Okay, and same thing here. You're going to want to, all the ones going along down are going to go on top of these. So, these are going to see, like as you can see up here, these are going to go on top of these, and this one's going to go on top of that one, all the way down. And it's the same in the back. It's going to be, see, they're all going to go on top of each other as they go down. Stick that back in there. Okay. And, here, you're going to take your hand in here and measure it out. Make sure they're roughly about the same length. And this one may be a tiny tad bit bigger, but not big enough to where it folds on top of itself, you know. Because if you're not careful, it'll like fold all the way on top, and you'll have just a flat thing. So make sure it's a tiny bit bigger as you're going along to give it kind of a rounded thing, but not big enough it folds on top of itself. Not really even noticeable, just enough to make sure it stays where it's supposed to. Okay. Okay. Now the other end here. And this one needs to go, make sure it goes on top of your previous loop, and everything has to go under the center. And also make sure it's kind of, the ribbon comes out straight. And this really, yeah, your spool of ribbon is going to go all over the place. Yeah, and you can fluff a little as you go. Doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't really matter how it looks like. You just want to get the basic, the basic placement right, where it's supposed to go. It doesn't really have to, and the size is right. Because when you're done, you're going to fluff the whole thing, and then it'll look 10 times better than it does, you know, while you're making it. Okay, show the same size. And crinkle it on the bottom. Fluff that out. And if this is your first time making bows, it's going to really put a lot of strain on your left hand. But eventually, after you do it enough, it'll be easy. You won't even notice it. Okay.
This is a basic florist bow. It's a 6-loop bow, but you can make any loops you want. Yeah. The most common are the 6-loop and the 12-loop.
Yeah. The more loops you do, though, the harder it gets. It's harder to hold in your hand. Yeah, and there is a way to make them to where there's no tail on the top. You have to start from one tail. You start from one tail and then you do your loops this way to that way. And yeah, you can make them where you don't have these tails here. It's just,
Whatever you prefer.
like this. Yeah, whatever you prefer. It leaves a little bit of a gap in the top there, as you can see, because that won't be there. You can fluff everything around, and if you do a lot of loops, it'll look better, you know. But really, I think it's easier to do it like this, and it kind of looks better in my opinion. Okay. And now we got to the end part. Okay. And now with this end here, when you get done with it, it's going to be going out this way, like that. And you want to twist it. You want to twist this around to where it's facing forward. And you also want to put it between the end here, in that kind of area right there. Like that. Okay, and then when you cut off your end here, you want it to be just about the same length as the top. So, you know, roughly 4 inches or so. But it's going to look kind of different because it's more hidden underneath this thing, and it really doesn't matter if you do this one shorter or longer or whatever, because it's going to be hidden. You're not really going to see it, but maybe if it's too long, you'll see it. And it also helps to have really sharp new scissors, because if you don't, they'll get stuck and they'll leave like little fringes and stuff, or they'll cut them sideways and stuff. So, okay. Okay, and now you just want to hold this here and measure it out. See how long you want your tail. And also you want to make sure that the longer side is facing the center. It's going to end up in the center, like that. Okay, and this is about the tail length you would want for a wreath. For, I guess, a 24-inch wreath. Yeah. Okay, you want to make sure everything goes where you want it to go. You want your tail. You want your tail going underneath, in between the loops. In between the loops, but on top of your little tail. That. You can see?
Okay.
Okay, and now for your wire. This part's kind of hard, but it's hard to understand how you do it, but it's really easy to do. Yeah. You just you put your wire through here, and you're wanting your wire to go right around where your hand is. So you're going to go between, inside your loop, right there, and on top of your thumb, and just get about in the center, just where you think it is. And then you want to put your thumb on top of the wire and hold it there. And then you want to take the wire, you want to put your hand between the two things here. You want to grab your wire, put your hand between the two, and go around back, and grab the top of the wire. It's coming out the top. And put this finger, it's going to be on this side, you want to put it on the other side, there. So it's coming out between your two fingers, and hold it there. Okay, and then, you want to make sure your wires are just about the same length, like that. Okay, come out the same length. And then, you want to put, you're going to twist it around, so you want to put one, put my thumb right here, just thumb right here, and then your finger right here, and hold on to it, and then twist it. And once you get the first twist really good, that'll really hold it in place. And you want to get it really tight so everything's not sliding around and all that. And then twist it around, 4 or 5 times, something like that. And then straighten your wire out. Okay. Alright, and then the wire, when you straighten out, it's going to stick in straight out the back of the bow. And then you want to twist it, or kind of bend it, to where it's going straight down, like that. Where your twist is going straight out, and then the rest of it's going down. Straight down towards your tail. Okay? And that way, you can really hold it good and everything. But when you put it on the wreath, you'll open up and put it around like that. But This is just really to hold it and work with it and everything. Works good. Okay. And now for the fluffing it. This is the hard part, but it makes it really pretty when you're done. Okay.
Turn it around where you can see it.
I mean, I can't see it. Sorry, can you come over here? Here,
Okay.
just come over here.
Okay.
Here, move some of this. Okay. Alright, now, for fluffing it. See, it doesn't look particularly the best right now, but when you fluff it and everything, it'll look good. So, like, start at the top here, and really, first thing you want to do is make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Make sure your tail's sticking out, this thing's sticking out the top, your three things are going this way, and your center's in the center. Because sometimes the center will end up here or whatever, you just want to pull it down in the center. Make sure it goes there. Okay? And then also, and that's just make sure everything goes where it's supposed to go. You know? Make sure your tails come out the bottom like that, and all that. And then, you want to kind of poof up the sides here. So, look around back here. You kind of want to single them out and fluff them up in the back. And then make sure they're straight in the front. Okay? And then you go along and do each one like this. Make sure this one, they're all going to be on top of each other going down. So make sure the next one is on top of the first one, and then so on. Flatten it out at the top, and then put it on the bottom. Flatten the top out. Okay? Okay, and then you want to do your other side. So, like that, and then
The fluffing makes a difference on different types of ribbon. So while this one, it's not that important because this ribbon is easy to position and to stay where it's supposed to be. Some of the other ribbon doesn't finish off as nicely and requires more fluffing.
yeah, some
And
of it looks terrible.
Makes a big difference if you fluff
Like,
certain types.
Yeah, certain types, if they're more flimsy, you know, you really need to fluff them a lot. But if they're really, really stiff ribbon, like a non-wired, really thick outdoor ribbon, it's no amount of fluffing will help. You have to really, really work on getting it where it's supposed to be and everything nice at the beginning with, because it's really stiff and it stays where you put it, so the fluffing doesn't really help. So you have to like really improve your bow making so that you can do those. So you want to start out with something wired, definitely to begin with, because the non-wire is just too hard. Okay, and then you're gonna cut off the other end. Here, I like to fluff it before I cut off the end and tie it up and everything, because it's really hard to get to it if it's not tied up and everything. Okay, so just lay that out there, and then measure it out here to where. Make sure it's straight. And also, when you're cutting it, it's good if it's not like a fold in half or something, because when you cut it, it's gonna, if it's not flat and everything, it's gonna be all zigzag and everything. So, here we go. Make sure it stays where it's supposed to. And then you pretty much start at the corner here and then try and get the same angle as you do over here. Just like that.
Your top piece, you can also cut that off if you want it to be shorter.
If it's